Hey guys, welcome back to MFO. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. This is a viewer question that came up in the comments, and I really like this. And by the way, guys, if you have ideas or questions that you would like answered on Mark Fisher Outdoors, I would love it if you would send those ideas. Believe me, doing videos 5 days a week, sometimes it gets a little difficult to come up with topics, and I'd love to have my videos respond to the things that you guys would like to learn more about. So I really appreciate the question that I got in the comments, and it had to do with jigs. He watched the video that I did where it came out to trimming the jigs, but then he brought up another question that we're going to answer right after this. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher. So this viewer watched the video that we talked about when we talked about trimming jigs. Look at how this jig, this is the hook right here. Look how long that jig is. And we talked about the fact that, number one, you don't want a jig that's got the skirt material that hangs down this low, because when you put your trailer on it, I'm just going to use this just to show it, it's a boot tail, but regardless of what the trailer is, that skirt material is going to get in the way of that trailer, and it's going to prevent that trailer from moving properly. So if I take my jig and I turn it upside down, get it all to hang properly here, and I just start to trim it I'm doing that because if my jig, this way I'm getting kind of two layers on my jig. Now when I turn it over, it's still a little long there. So I'm gonna trim off a little bit more, and I trim it off. Okay, so now I've got my jig trailer, or my jig skirt trimmed at about the length that I would want to fish it. But what he talked about was, Mark, what about your weed guard? When I've got a weed guard and I trim that weed guard, what happens is, because the weed guard is made from the factory to be kind of pliable, now when I trim it, it gets stiff. And what do I do? Because now I've actually made that weed guard even stiffer than it was when it was longer, because when it was extended, it had some give to it, but now it's real stiff. Here's the answer to that. So what I'm going to do is, number one, I'm going to spread it out. And then, so you can see that I've kind of got it spread out like that. Can you see that? And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to take my needle nose pliers, and I'm actually going to pull out a few of, I'm just going to pull them out like that. See how I got that one out? And I'm going to pull out a few of those. And I'm going to thin that out. Pull out just a few more. See how I got them coming out there? And now what I've done is, by pulling out a few of these weed guards, I've got, it's still there, it's spread out. You can see how it's spread out there. But it's very flexible, because it's not as stiff, because I've taken out a number of those prongs that come out of the jig. So now I've got my compact jig that's got my skirt that's been trimmed, and I've still got a weed guard where it's not going to catch on the hook, but I can very easily get, it's not going to prevent a hookup, because that weed guard is going to come out there. So that's my answer to my viewer question about what do you do when you've got those stiff weed guards, and after you trim them, they actually end up being a little bit even stiffer than before, is literally with your needle nose pliers, just go and pluck a couple of those weed guards out. Don't go overboard, but just kind of try them, pluck them out, see where it is that makes it work. And that's the answer to that question. Guys, like I said, I appreciate you asking questions. I'd love to share my answers with you. We'll see what you guys think about this. By all means, send in your comments. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mark Fisher Outdoors. Please hit the subscribe button, the like button, the hype button, all of that stuff. Share it with a buddy. I appreciate all of that, and we will see you again tomorrow on another episode of Mark Fisher Outdoors. Take care, everybody.